saw nothing.
Good evening! That's how I test the microphone. Okay, give me a cheer if you've ever been through a breakup. Fantastic! Give me a cheer if you've ever been through a really bad breakup. Wonderful! I'm noticing this side of the audience is distinctly sadder than this side. Well, the good news is that I have eHarmony's list of the 9 things you are supposed to do after a breakup. Number 1, pretend you're fine. Number 2, pay eHarmony for the rest of this list. The soothing voice of eHarmony, get over yourself, give us a credit card. But I didn't do that. Instead, when my girlfriend of 3 years broke up with me by text on Valentine's Day. That genuinely happened. Instead, I found a movie. Bicentennial Man. The story of a robot butler who falls in love with the youngest child of the family it's supposed to be looking after. And I poured my feelings into this film. This was my sad songs on the radio. This film where our romantic lead is dickless Lego man Robin Williams. And because of where I was at the time, I started to genuinely believe that this was the greatest work of art mankind had ever produced. And no one agreed with me. And since that time, I have wanted nothing more than to have a medium-sized group of people in a room, trapped, so I can tell them about Bicentennial Man. You have all made a terrible mistake. So we open on the opening credits, and we see that Bicentennial Man is based on not 1, but 2 books. Always a sign of quality. We're introduced to a family, and a box is delivered to their house, containing dickless Lego man Robin Williams and an instruction manual which nobody ever reads. Perhaps they should have. Chapter 4, how to prevent the unit from lusting after your children. But the robot and the little girl start to grow close. He starts calling her Little Miss. Yes, it is very creepy. But time passes on, and soon we're in the futuristic year 2015. And Little Miss is an adult human woman now, with adult human woman emotions, feelings, sexual feelings, for the dickless Lego man. Despite the fact she is getting married, and has made it incredibly clear to her fiancé she's only with him because she can't fuck the plastic man in the corner. Any of you who are in a relationship, imagine if your partner turned to you and said, I'm only with you because I can't fuck the lamp. But Little Miss gets married, and the robot is alone. Like I was. It's the wrong reaction, guys. But this is the part of the set where I'm going to have to talk a little bit about my ex-girlfriend, and I don't want to use her real name, because if Twitter can keep suggesting I follow her, you can certainly fucking find her. So, in a moment, I'm going to ask one of you for a generic white girl name. And this may sound like an insult. It is not, and I know that, because the first time I ever asked an audience for this, they got it right. Okay, so have we met before? I don't remember. Okay, not you then. We've definitely met there. Hello. Can I get a generic white girl name from you, please?
Laura.
Yeah, Laura, that's great. Laura definitely sells baseball caps. She decorates herself on Etsy. Okay, so Laura and I split up. And I think after the end of a relationship, it's perfectly normal, super normal, catastrophically normal to try and figure out what went wrong. Because, you know, it's healthy to dwell. And I think one of the reasons that we broke up is I wasn't romantic enough in the way that she wanted me to be. She was romantic in a very traditional sense. And by traditional, I do of course mean the 18th century. A time of love letters and slavery. The Thomas Jefferson method of seduction. And the audience is level. It's one distinct groan from a woman over there. Okay, but because I grew up in the 21st century, I've never written a love letter. The closest thing I've ever written to a love letter is a business-to-business email. So I've written her a business-to-business email. My dearest Laura, please find attached confirmation of my affections, initiated on the 29th of July and continuing to the present date. I remember when I first realised I was in love with you. It was a warm summer's day and we were walking past where we had our first kiss. I looked at you and you looked at me. And it was then that I realised that my skills, experience and friendly telephone manner made me perfect for the role of boyfriend. I wish to express in the strongest possible terms my continued enthusiasm for our relationship and believe that there is significant room for growth in our romance by focusing on deliverable outcomes. In the last 6 months alone, my love for you has grown by 15%. And I expect this growth to continue above the rate of inflation as we head into the next fiscal year. Yours, Sam Went, Assistant Temporary Boyfriend Officer. Our relationship. Please think twice before printing this email. Okay, back to the movie. So Little Miss gets married and the robot is alone. But he doesn't let it get him down. And instead, he goes on a journey to find others like himself. And he finds one. A sexy lady robot with robot boobs. What are those for? Is she planning on breastfeeding a Hoover? When I was feeling particularly alone in my love of Bicentennial Man, I tried to find others who liked the film as much as I did. Because, you know, it's got 37% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think we'd win a second referendum. We have 12 months until that joke becomes very sad. Same level! Slavery and Brexit, those are things that you have drawn an equivalence between. So I tried to find a Bicentennial Man fan club. And there is one. Just one. It is in Italian. And it is entirely dedicated to this character. It's just photos of her. Unfortunately, robot boobs are not the same thing as sentience. So if the robot wants to find the love and companionship that it wants, it will have to become human. Very typical sci-fi story, yeah? Data in Star Trek. It's basically Pinocchio. But Bicentennial Man goes about this in a way that's a bit more direct than those, because in order to become human, the robot decides to get itself some organs. Again, we have the slavery Brexit organ level over there. But there's never been an adaptation of Pinocchio where a man walks into a dark alley at night and Pinocchio is there, bent over the bloody corpse of his latest victim, a spleen in his hand, stuffing it into his woolen chest and going, "I'm a real boy! I'm a real boy!" You've acted better than most, well done, sir. Unfortunately, Robin Williams does not harvest organs from people still using them, which is a massive blow to representation for the organ harvester community, who could really use a hero right now. Instead, robot boobs just happens to be owned by a scientist who's developing artificial skin and artificial organs. So he gets a flesh and blood body, and he goes back to Little Miss. But she's an old woman now. Divorced from her husband, I wonder why. Perhaps he came downstairs one night to find her filleting the toaster. But she's on her deathbed. And it's too late for them to have a real relationship. And she passes away. And now he has to get over her, because this is legitimately halfway through the film. There is over an hour left to go. But I think it's important to move on after the end of a relationship, and that's what I wanted to do. So after Laura and I split up, I started looking at dating websites, and there's all kinds out there. There's ones for Christians, ones for heavy metal fans, ones for people who use the same train station. No, really, it's called Lovestruck.com, which is a terrible name for a dating website about trains. Same level! It's different people, but always over here. You people have much thicker skin, it's no. But I'm none of those things. What I am is a socialist. Where is the dating website for people like me? It exists, it is called OK Comrade. So I sign up to OK Comrade and I have a look round and I find someone on there who lists their gender as cis pilot. And I think this has to be a joke. But no. There is a link to an Instagram and Facebook, and no, this person is living as a pirate. Let's ignore the difference between gender and career. You want to identify as a pilot? Fine. What I have a problem with is the word cis, because cis means that you identify as the gender you were born with. And no one is born a pirate. To be born a pirate, you have to be born with A, criminal intent, and B, a boat. What you are, sir, is trans pilot. So after that, I thought it was time to get real and sign to a proper dating website. So I signed to OkCupid, and I was on there for about 6 months, sent out a few messages, got nothing back. And until one day I saw there was a message in my inbox and I got really excited. And I open it up, and I look at it, and I read it, and it says that I'm an upstanding citizen. That's a funny way to flirt. But it's fine, we go for dinner, I get some drinks, she gives me the key to the city, fun all round. And then I kept reading, and it said that I'd been recommended to join the website's moderation team. The women of OkCupid looked at my profile and thought, now I don't want to have sex with him, but I do think he should be in a position of leadership. For those of you who don't know what a moderator on a dating website does, essentially, if someone sends you a nasty message on the website, you report it, it comes to me, well, I will read it, print it out, cut it up, and use it to make sexually aggressive refrigerator poetry. Not all horrible. Actually wrote quite a nice one recently about a lost puppy. I will find you, bitch. Get a grip! It's a dog joke, fucking hell. Okay. But it's mostly pictures though, which means that if someone uploads a picture to the website, I see if it conforms to the rules and guidelines. Which means I can go into any room and say with confidence, I have seen more penises than the rest of you combined. Some advice now for anyone thinking of uploading a dick pic to OkCupid. What's not going to happen is that your true love is going to see it and go, yes. But rather, it's going to get reported. And something I didn't know before I become a moderator is we do it in a group. Which means that your penis will end up on a forum where we will discuss it. And I want you to think about the sort of people who become OkCupid moderators. They are the people who've been on OkCupid long enough to become moderators. And oh yes, they are bitter. So if you want your genitals to be reviewed by people with the sensibilities of a Saudi Arabian religious court with a grudge, be my guest. But, back to the film. I said we were halfway through. You're trapped here with me. Little Miss has passed away. And, of course, this is going to take some time for the robot. This is the person he based his entire identity off. No, he would just move straight onto her granddaughter. Who is conveniently played by the same actress. But there's a problem before he can have a sexual relationship. See, Dickless Robin Williams still doesn't have a penis. But luckily, the scientist has just invented an artificial penis. And he's really excited about getting one. And the robot has a little speech about what he thinks sex is going to be like. Which I have transcribed, word for word. And I'm going to read to you now. They say that you can lose yourself, everything, all boundaries, all time. The two bodies can become so mixed up that you don't know who's who or what's what. And when the sweet confusion is so intense that you think you're going to die, you kind of do. Leaving you alone in your separate body, but the one you love is still there. That's the miracle. You can go to heaven and come back alive, and go back anytime you want. The one you love. Mate, you are going to be so disappointed. I mean, sex is good, but what you've described sounds more like autoerotic asphyxiation on shrooms. But he gets a penis, and they fall in love, and they get married, and he agrees to die with her. And I bawl my eyes out. After hearing this, Is there anyone who might want to watch Bicentennial Man? To give this underrated Jen a try? Cheer anyone. Yes. Is there anyone who's willing to go a bit beyond a cheer? Because I have a DVD. And I think the sketch show can wait. But no, I have a DVD and I have an email address, bicentennialfan@gmail.com. Amazing, no one else wanted it. And I'm planning to turn this into an hour show, and I want to include in it members of the audience thoughts on Bicentennial Man. So is anyone willing to take this DVD home, watch Bicentennial Man, and then email me with their thoughts? Hands up, anyone. I saw your hand first, congratulations. But this is a comedy show, so I want to leave us on an uplifting message. A message of hope for anyone who cheered at the beginning when I asked about breakups. Our exes will have grandchildren, and we will be there when they do. I've been Sam Wine, thank you very much.